Today I'm making a hand-bound watercolor journal to take with me on my travels, and as you can see I have all the pages ready over here, and I'm going to show you a new binding technique and how to create your own book. You can use any kind of paper. I'm using watercolor paper because I'm making a watercolor sketchbook, but like I said, you can use any kind of paper. I'm using a normal Canson sketch pad, and I've just taken out each sheet and folded it into half, and I have with me here 8 sheets, and on both sides I have double-sided scrapbook paper, and I'll show you why I'm doing this when I bind the book. So on both sides I have 2 different patterns. So this is a total of 10 folded sheets. Then I took the back from the same Canson watercolor paper pad that I had, and I'm using these as my front and back for the book. And with this journal you'll see that I'm going to leave the binding exposed, and I think that's going to look very, very nice. I'm using some wrapping paper from Paper Source to cover the front and back of my book. Now first of all, I'm going to do that because I want it to dry while I'm binding the book. And as you can see right now, this is a finished book cover. So I'm going to lay that aside, and then we're going to do the second one exactly the same way. We're doing this first so that we give them a chance to dry. So while we're binding the actual inside of the book, these will dry, and then we can put the book together. This is such an easy project, and this would make such beautiful little Christmas gifts. You can make these any size that you want, and you can put any kind of paper inside that you want. It can be plain writing paper, it can be dotted paper if you want to make like a bullet journal. I folded my paper in a way that it's just 1 sheet per signature, and I'll show you what that means. So each of these is a signature, and I just have 1 sheet per signature because this paper is very thick, it's watercolor paper. But if you were just using plain normal writing paper, you could put 3 sheets in each and then fold them up, and that way instead of 8 you would have 24 sheets. So it totally depends on the thickness of paper that you are using. I took a really fun bookbinding course when I went to Thailand, and I learned so much. It's so much fun when you travel or you find out about people who are offering fun classes. I always feel that you can keep on learning. Everyone has their own techniques and everyone has a lot to teach you. So this is the front and back of our book, and now we can start with the actual binding. So for my binding, I'm using normal embroidery thread, and I've chosen a yellow color, and it's a pretty long thread, and I've actually added needles to both ends, and I'm going to show you why. So the biggest thing in this is to keep the threads untangled. So make sure you have enough of a workspace. And then I've measured 2 inches from both ends, and as you can see I've put little marks on each. This is so that everything stays aligned when I'm binding. So I'm going to take the first paper and I'm going to go ahead and punch these holes where I've marked it, right? And I'm going to go in from here, and I'm going to take my other needle and I'm going to go in from the other hole. Then I'm going to pull them both out, and I want to make sure that my thread is centered, so that both of the other threads, both of my needles are at the same place and this is totally centered. I can't show you the whole thing on the video because the thread is super long, but I hope that makes sense. So now I've got my page and I've got these two needles coming out on both ends. What we're going to do next is go in through the other signature. And I'm just going to show you. I'm going to show you a couple in real time and then I'm going to speed this up because otherwise you'll get super bored. Okay, so I've got this like that, and now I need to go in from both ends where I made the mark. And like I said, the mark is going to help us keep everything aligned. So you go in from this one like this and you come up the other side. And you do the exact same thing with the other needle. You go in through this part making sure all your threads stay separate because you don't want it tangled. That, in my opinion, is the most difficult part of this project, making sure that your threads are not tangled. And then you come up through the other end, right? And then you repeat the process. So again, I will take my needle and I will go in from here and come up from this hole over here. There we go. And pull. And then the same thing with the other. We go in from here and come out from the other end. And you want to make sure that you're keeping everything tight. What you can do is also make stitches if you want, but I don't think that's necessary here. You can loop over the last and, you know, just make a knot. But this is the way we're going to keep going till we have all of our signatures done. Okay, so my book is bound and I'm now just going to finish this off by taking the thread through one of the loops that I've made before and just tying a knot. You can also put glue over the whole stitching to make sure that it stays bound, but since I'm not going to be doing something, I mean this journal is just going to be used for watercolor, I think I've got a pretty strong binding, and I'm good with it. So you must be wondering how I got the right amount of thread. Basically what you have to do is you have to measure the distance between your two holes, and for each signature you need twice that amount of thread, and then a little extra just to make sure that you're covered. So measure the distance between the two holes and take the number of signatures you have, measure out that thread, double it, leave a little extra and cut. That's the formula. So I made a double knot here. We'll do the same here. So there are a couple of ways to finish this book, and I'm going to show you one on video, but I'm going to talk you through the other one. So I'm going to leave a little bit of this thread here before I cut it, and I'll show you why in a minute. Okay, so your book is bound, and now what you could do is you could put glue on the spine here and have a cover that has a spine. Glue it in, glue this page to one end of your cover and this page to the other end of your cover, and you have a beautiful book. Now I'm leaving the spine exposed as I showed you. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the glue and I'm going to glue this end and then this end, and that's it. My journal will be ready. I am going to use an elastic around it, and I am using this thread. I'm going to glue it inside so that there are no loose ends. That's why I left that over there. So I'm just going to show you the elastic that I'm going to use around it. So I'm going to use something like this, and I'm just going to make it a little thinner by opening it from here and then tying a knot. I'll show you how to do that. And I get these elastics. These are actually hair ties. I get them from the Dollar Tree, and I use them for pretty much all of my planners. So that's that, and I might stitch this at the back over here so that it doesn't show and it just looks like a cute little knotted band. And that's it. That's my watercolor journal ready. And like I mentioned, these would make beautiful little gifts for friends and family. It's an easy project to do. You could make them in half the size if you wanted. You could put different kinds of paper. You could even make a cover that has the spine if you want, but I kind of like the stitching exposed a little bit and I can see the signatures. I think that looks nice. So I'm just going to show you how I do the covers so that you know exactly what to do. For this, I use a much stronger glue. I'm just going to show you. I like using Yoo-Hoo or E6000. Right now what I have is Goop, so we're gonna go with Goop. This should work well enough, I think. Just make sure that you've got all the edges covered with glue. Okay, just make sure everything is aligned. Another fun thing you could do is use duct tape for the binding, and actually I think I'm going to show you that because I've already shown you how to do this one. I would like to show you how to use that. I'm sorry, sometimes during my videos I get ideas and then I want to try them out and share them with you too. So okay, so what we're going to do is one end like that, and then you basically just pull and burnish as you go, because you want to make sure that the pages are tightly bound. And just so this is a very simple spine. This way you take care of the threads, you don't have to worry about those anymore. And now when you put your covers, this is what it's going to look like. So in case the stitching isn't super neat and you want to hide it, but you don't want to make a cardboard binding because you want it to be flexible, duct tape is the answer. Or just put it under some heavy books, which is what I'm going to do. So basically that's it. Your book is ready. Once it's dry, I'm going to start doing some watercolor exercises. I hope you enjoyed this video, and do check out my other book binding tutorials. I'm going to start putting up tutorials by subject on my website, so you're going to see a lot of book binding, planner, home decor, DIY stuff coming up. And I hope you make some of these for Christmas, because these make really nice Christmas gifts. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.